This week on Home and Away in Australia, Rue fears for her safety as the evidence against Eliza mounts. Rue's new foster child Eliza Sherwood has already managed to make some waves in the few short weeks she's been in Summer Bay, but some shocking news could make Rue wonder whether she's severely underestimated the 14-year-old. Eliza came to Rue as an emergency placement last month, after her last foster home was destroyed in a fire. Her fellow foster siblings were still inside as the fire took hold, and all Eliza was able to save was her music box, in which she kept her most precious possessions. But as Eliza settled in that evening, we saw that she was keeping some disturbing items hidden away in the box, including a lock of blonde hair, a photo with two faces scratched out, and more significantly, a lighter. As Rue began homeschooling Eliza, she began to exhibit a strange fascination with medical science, or more specifically the process of surgery. Eliza began looking up the techniques for major operations, as well as the implements required, and started watching videos, which Rue found a little disconcerting. Both Alf and Marilyn have already voiced their concerns about Eliza's odd demeanor, but Rue pointed out that they had promised to support her in bringing a foster child to Summer Bay House, and reminded them of what Eliza had been through. Unbeknownst to them all however, Eliza had already swiped a fishing knife from Alf after spotting it in his bait shop, and had added it to the collection in her music box. Eliza also expressed an interest in babies, demonstrated when she walked up to stranger Harper in the surf club and placed her hand on her belly, hoping to feel the baby. She went on to steal an ultrasound printout from Tane's bag as she attended her first session of the youth program, which is when she found herself at odds with fellow student Scott. Unhappy at his insistence that she return the scan to Tane, Eliza floored Scott with a punch to the nose. It seemed progress was being made when Eliza later apologized to Scott, but when he later took her new phone off her in order to input his number, a furious Eliza smashed a bottle and threatened him with it. When Rue asked Cash for some background on Eliza, he did some digging and found that Eliza had been forcibly removed from her parents at a young age before being placed in the custody of her grandmother. When Eliza was 10 years old, her grand died after falling down the stairs. Eliza was found hiding in a cupboard and refused to leave, with police forced to drag her out so the coroner could get to her grand's body. Rue realized this was probably the reason Eliza reacted so badly to Cash coming over to talk to Eliza about the incident at the surf club, and comforted Eliza as she told her how sorry she was about what had happened in her past. As Rue embraced Eliza, Marilyn was deeply unsettled when the teen looked over to her and gave a smile, having displayed nothing but aloofness towards her before that point. Concerned for Rue, Marilyn decided to go behind her back to do some digging of her own, and managed to get in touch with Eliza's former foster parents. After claiming to the couple that she was actually Rue, Marilyn was stunned to learn that they believed Eliza had been the one to set fire to their house. Marilyn explained to Leah and Justin that, like Rue, Eliza's foster parents had put her issues down to her past traumas. But nothing they did made any difference. Eliza was very unhappy when the couple subsequently welcomed more foster children into the household, and the next thing they knew, the house had been burned to the ground. The three realized that if this was true, Eliza clearly needed more help than Rue would be able to provide. If, on the other hand, they were mistaken, then it would be an awful accusation to place upon a troubled 14-year-old girl. This week, Marilyn decides the best thing to do is to come clean to Rue and tell her about the suspicions. Rue doesn't believe for a minute that Eliza could be capable of such a heinous crime, but nevertheless decides to hear her former foster parents' story by getting in touch with them herself. She doesn't know much about Eliza but for the fact that the foster family she was with had their house burned down and Eliza needed somewhere to go, Georgie told TV Week. She finds it hard to get a read on her. In the meantime, Eliza ramps up her gameplay with Marilyn, as she begins to make veiled threats towards her. As a promo for upcoming episodes recently teased, Eliza chillingly taunts Marilyn about how terrible it feels to always be on edge, not knowing what's next, as she circles around her. The same day, Eliza sits down for a cup of tea with Marilyn, offering to pour it for her. "You don't want to burn yourself," Eliza states, sending a chill through Marilyn. Marilyn voices her fears to Rue, telling her about the threats and how she shouldn't trust Eliza. The call to Eliza's former foster parents certainly doesn't ease any doubts that Rue may have, leaving her with more questions than answers. But when Eliza discovers what Marilyn and Rue have been up to, she feels betrayed. Rue's guilt soon turns to anger towards Marilyn, furious at what her meddling has caused. As Marilyn decides to go and stay with Irene at the beach house for a while, Rue is left alone in the house and decides to have a look around Eliza's room. She draws a blank before spotting the music box, which she had been particularly protective over on her arrival. As Rue takes a look inside, she's shocked by what she finds. The scratched-out photo, a wad of cash, Alf's missing knife, and a lighter. When Rue then goes to leave, she finds Eliza standing in the doorway. Has she been caught red-handed?